Dear friends in and of Haidam, Turid and myself, we are so grateful for this opportunity to forward our greetings to you and to share some memories from our wonderful time in Haidam and together with the friends of Haidam. I was born in Haidam. One of the first people to hold me in her arms was the late Selina Jota. She gave me the name of Ahueso, probably because I was born early in the morning. I grew up with the smell of cement, disinfectant, medicines, the sound of hammering, patients crying and singing, choirs singing. I grew up with the stories of the families around Haidam, their dreams, their sorrows, their achievements. I grew up with a grandfather and grandmother, Dr. Olsen Sr. and Borghild, both so deeply influenced by the grace of God given to them and to all people. My parents, Dr. Olsen and Mama Kari, had an infinite love for all the families and people around Haidam, and a love for the development of the hospital and the community around. What a privilege it has been to grow up with a society almost from nothing to an entire community developing and prospering. What a privilege to be part of a development project based on a diaconical perspective and a diaconical miracle. I learned how to ride a bicycle with Zakaria Munya, the son of Mzee Munya, the first family in Haidam. I played tennis with Richard Naman. I learned the mechanics of a motorcycle with Yusufat Gara. I learned how to drive a car with Herson Haishi. I witnessed the hard work and ethics of Selina Sanka and the optimism and determination of Dr. Isaac Maliek. I learned also from Clementina Dakai the loyalty and care, and the care of Teresia Lohai always being warm and welcoming to us. The wisdom of Manasseh Hotai, the dedication, humor, and optimism of sister and matron Tobag Seddag. Only to mention a few of the hundreds and hundreds of people who have influenced mine and our families and Turid's lives in Haidam. I remember well church leaders like Bishop Bartholomew Jonathan and Bishop Joram Girgis, Mwalimu Lukas Tuai, and Mwalimu Gefi and the entire Ndeki family in Dongobesh, Johanna Baha from Daudi, and Mzee Habel Badojik in Kansai. I remember the voice of Mzee Ruben Lema and my mother as they sang and started the first Ujamaa choir in Haidam. Only to mention a few of the wise and great people that have been in Haidam and in our lives. Together with my sisters and brothers, I have witnessed so many of the achievements throughout these 70 years. We saw the building of primary schools, secondary schools, bridges, roads, hundreds of kilometers of roads, boreholes and dams, police stations and banking services. We saw all of this under the vision and mentorship of Dr. Olsen and Mama Kari, but never by themselves, always together with the people and the friends of Haidam. And in Norway and other countries, mission and church friends continued to gather equipment, bandages, hospital beds and money, and mobilize friendships among schools, businesses, and politicians. So many families and friends have been involved. I was a young doctor and PhD candidate when, together with brothers, sisters, Dr. Olsen and Mama Kari, we forged the first modern strategic outline of the hospital. Same dance, different drums. I witnessed the beginning of research started by Dr. Sven Hinderaker and Dr. Björg Evjen Olsen, later formalized through the research satellite station of the National Institute for Medical Research in 2005 at Haidam, under the great leadership of Estu Mduma. This is now one of the internationally renowned best research practices in the world. Then came the time for Turid and myself to take responsibility at Haidam.
And I knew about Haidam way before I met Oystein and way before we came to Haidam. This was because I grew up having an aunt in Africa, and sister Ingrid Sætrenes, and also an uncle and aunt, Reidulf and Maisa Lillebø, who worked at Haidam for many years. I knew about Haidam even before I was born. The summer when my mother was pregnant with me, we had visitors from Haidam. It was my aunt, Sister Ingrid Sætrenes, who had visitors, and that was Pastor Jotam Girgis. And we have film and pictures of him playing in the garden with my siblings.
Our work together started with the Sadolini project. That was a Food for Work project established as a consequence of the devastating effects of El Niño in the late 1990s. Droughts, floods, and lack of harvest led to more than 150,000 people being out of food and more than 30,000 households receiving food aid from our project. More than 60,000 bags of maize were distributed during that time. Then Turid and I were called to be the medical managing director of Haidam Hospital. That was in 2005. The governing and leadership processes had to be moved out of my father's left pocket and into institutionalized processes in the hospital. Consolidating the hospital values, developing the standard operating procedures, computerizing patient management, financial, administrative, human resource, procurement, and other very important institutionalized mechanisms to ensure that the hospital became a modern and sustainable hospital. We had a great team, both in the administration, finance office, and hospital leadership group. And true, change was not easy. There were many difficult times for many of us. Turid and I had a great mentor, supporter and advisor in the late Pastor Jotam Girgis, and also the wisdom of great people such as Jappe Eriksen and Anders Wallstedt with us. In June 2010, the goal of becoming a secondary referral hospital was achieved, gazetted, and official. The investment in medical education and specialization through generations has now come to full effect. You, the medical doctors and nurses of Haidam Hospital, you are now the future of the hospital. You now have the responsibility of maintaining its values and maintaining its high-quality service to the people and the community of Haidam. Through the hospital board, we established 2 independent institutions in 2007 and 8. The Four Corners Cultural Program, 4CCP, and Haidam Entrepreneur and Vocational Training School. This was to continue the community development and the cultural dialogue work that the hospital had been doing for so many decades before. This was also to relieve the pressure of future managing medical directors of this great responsibility. 4CCP has had a great success under the leadership of Anna-Kari Evjen Olsen and Eliminata Awet. We know that protecting and facilitating the education of women and building the capacity of young people in the community are some of the most effective ways of securing good health and sustainable development. It also is the best way to create a resilient society. It is our hope that both the training school and the girls' hostel now someday will find its place in the development of the community around us. It is with great pride Turid and I have witnessed the continued development of the hospital and the development of the community since we left the position as Managing Medical Director in 2010.
But also our children, Karina Nema, Olaf Amani and Solveig Jalia, are very proud of their legacy. And this is one of the most important stories of their lives.
Congratulations from Turid and myself on the 70th anniversary of Haidom Lutheran Hospital. To all of its leaders, to all of its staff, to all of its patients, affected communities, to all its friends, governmental and international partners. Our grandfather and grandmother taught us why, to His praise and glory. Our father and mother taught us what, health services and development of the community. It is now for us to understand how. And Turid and I would like to remind us all of the 3 words Mama Kari used to explain how. Upendo, umoja, ujuzi. Unity, love, and knowledge. These are the 3 strands in an unbreakable rope binding us all together. Turid and I, and together with all of the Olsen family, we are together with you. We pray with you and wish you all God's blessing on your important work, all to His praise and glory. Tuko pamoja, asanteni wote.
Katika zizi la mkombozi